Welcome at Pizza and More. This time again we go far away from Germany and we make a pizza which is called Manakish. I'm Jürgen and we make today a pizza from the Lebanon, so a Lebanese pizza or maybe an Arabic pizza, and this is called Manakish. Manakish is a piece of dough made with yeast like a pizza dough or similar like a pizza dough, and then it's topped with some herbs, with minced meat or with cheese. Where Manakish comes from is not really known. The first known mentions of this Lebanese meal are from an Arabic cooking book from the 10th century. In the Lebanon, they eat normally the Manakish for breakfast or as a light meal in between or maybe also as lunch. I read that Manakish seems to be plural and the singular is manouche, and I hope I pronounce these words correctly. This is already added to the list of cultural heritages from the UNESCO. Most of the times, or the most traditional way to top Manakish or to top Manakish is with Za'atar. And Za'atar is a mixture of herbs and olive oil. Or it's then also topped even with cheese or with minced meat, as I already said. Za'atar could be made by yourself as well. You need several different herbs and some sesame seed and then some olive oil, and you can mix this up. The list of ingredients you need for the Za'atar is in the video description, but I bought the Za'atar. Originally the Manakish is baked on a traditional Arabic oven. This oven has on top also some heat elements so that they put in the first instance the Manakish on top of this oven, and they boil it or they cook it a bit on top of the oven. They top it here, they put the Za'atar or the cheese on it, and then they take the Manakish and put it into the oven. I don't have such an Arabic traditional oven, therefore I use my pizza oven. But it's also possible to bake the Manakish in the conventional kitchen oven. Normally an Akkawi cheese needs to be used. I never heard about the Akkawi cheese before, and I have no Akkawi cheese. Maybe I had to go into a Turkish supermarket. There would be possibly such a cheese available, but I was in a normal supermarket and I read instead of this Akkawi cheese, it's also possible to use a mixture of Feta and mozzarella, or even of Halloumi and mozzarella, and this is what I did. I have a Halloumi cheese and I have mozzarella. I saw in some recipes that they have a very short leavening time, only of 1 hour or 1.5 hours, but then they use a huge amount of yeast and they use also lots of sugar in this dough. But I'm not really a fan of sugar and huge amount of yeast, so I decided I will let the Manakish or the Manakish dough raise a bit longer. So we let it raise now for 8 or 12 hours, it depends a bit. And I will use only a little amount of yeast. I don't know which of the recipes is the more traditional one. I did some research, but I did not really find a real traditional recipe. I saw recipes with sugar, with huge amount of yeast and a short leavening time, and I saw exactly what I will do without sugar, only with a little amount of yeast and a longer leavening time. Maybe someone of you knows the real traditional Lebanese recipe. Please share it with me, type it into the comments. This would be really fantastic, and then I try this as well. And now I would say I show you the ingredients for our dough. This is a Typo 0 flour, 500 grams, or you also could use an all-purpose flour. Then I have here 300 grams very cold water, 15 grams of fine sea salt, 25 grams of olive oil, and 0.6 grams of dry yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, then please use 1.8 grams. To make the dough, we pour at first the water into the bowl of our machine, then the flour and the yeast, and then we start mixing for around 5 minutes. Then we add the salt and continue kneading for additional 5 minutes. And then we add the last ingredient for our dough, the olive oil. And also here we continue now kneading until we are able to make the window test. After good 25 minutes of kneading, I already took out the dough, and I show you now that the window test works. Therefore I have already wet fingers. I put a piece of dough and then I stretch it, and as you can see, the gluten structure is built. And now it's time to shape a proper dough ball. To make this, we take the dough from the left and from the right, we lift it, put it back, stretch it and fold it over. And then we do exactly this exercise several times. And then when we get a nice and strong surface, we go with the little fingers always under the dough, and then we pull the dough and we turn it a bit. And then when we have shaped a nice dough ball, then we cover this dough ball and let it rest for around 30 minutes. After 30 minutes rest, we shape the dough balls exactly the same like with a normal pizza as well. The pizza balls have 275 grams each. Now we take the dough ball and then we pull all the dough from the side towards the bottom and push it into the center, and then we get a nice and strong surface, as you can see here. And then there are other versions as well available to create dough balls. Please have a look on my other videos if you are interested in. If the surface is nice, then we have to guarantee that the bottom is closed well, and then the dough ball is done and we can put it back into the box. When the dough balls are prepared, we have to close the lid, and then we let them rise at room temperature for 8 to 10 hours until we bake our Manakish. The toppings are totally different than normal. So I already mixed the za'atar, so this herbs mixture, with olive oil. Then I have here some halloumi cheese and mozzarella. I cut it both into small cubes and I mixed it together. And I have here some nigella seed. And now I think we start directly with our very delicious Manakish. Yeah, here you can see the za'atar. This is these herbs with olive oil, and you can see the sesame seed. Here is the mozzarella and the halloumi cheese and the nigella seed. The dough balls are looking also very great, and now we have to take them out in the same way like we take a normal pizza dough out. We use enough semolina because we want to avoid to stress the dough. Then we release the dough everywhere where the dough is attached to another dough ball or even to the box. Then we go with the spatula and with semolina under, lift the dough out, and put it into semolina. Then of course it's important to close again the lid, so we avoid that the remaining dough balls are drying out. And then it's different than with a normal pizza, because a normal pizza, or for a Neapolitan pizza, we try to keep all the air in the dough. This is here different. We could now use either a roller pin, or we press the dough by hand and we press all the air out. This dough should not be as thin as a normal pizza. If we stretched it, then we go with the fingertips and we press here some molds. And then we start with this za'atar mixture to put it onto the first half of this pie. Then on the second half we add some cheese, and then we press the cheese a little bit, and then finally we add some nigella seed onto the cheese. And then the Manakish is already prepared for the oven, the same like with pizza, semolina onto the peel. We lift the dough and push the peel under. Now there is again some difference. This pie has now already its final size. We are not stretching it anymore. And now it's time for the oven. And here comes the Manakish out of the oven. And now I promise you, here it smells very oriental, and I'm really looking forward to taste now this fantastic Manakish. At first I taste the part with the za'atar. And this side with the za'atar, this mixture of different herbs is fantastic. It has a very, very intensive aroma or flavor, but it's absolutely great. And now I taste the part with the cheese. And this cheese also has such a fantastic taste. It's amazing. And also the crust is very crispy and also full of taste, even if we had only 8 hours leavening time. This is an absolutely fantastic version of a pizza. I would recommend make it as well. It's really something totally different, but absolutely delicious. Yeah, if you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel, and then we see us also in the next video. Ciao!